All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast. And guess what? Juan Soto is a Met. Juan Soto is a Met. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Before we get into all of that, hit subscribe on the channel. Like this video. Let us know what you're thinking. And Victor, how you doing?
All I gotta say is one thing. Dun 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 dun. Dun. There's a new evil empire in New York, and it is the New York Mets. We have done it. We have killed the Yankees. All Yankees fans are out there crying because of this signing. Because guess what? Juan Soto wanted to be a Met over wanting to be a Yankee. He chose to be a Met, and that is the greatest and sweetest thing about this whole thing. It's not the amount of years. It's not that we got the greatest player of our generation. It's that he wanted to be in New York, in the borough of Queens, and so got to feel good about that. And I'm just excited, counting down the days till we get to see him in an Mets uniform.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this is something it came down to the Mets and the Yankees, and you have some reporters saying that this was a flex by both Cohen and Steinbrenner, and at the end of the day, they're right. This was a flex by Cohen and Steinbrenner, not because they didn't overpay, because at the end of the day, who cares? Because the thing is that he's one of the top hitters in our game right now, and he's 25 years old. He hasn't turned 26 yet, and he and this was the reason why it was a flex between the two owners is because it was a shift in who was going to be Big Brother in this town, and the Yankees did not want to let that go. And by Juan Soto signing with the Mets, it it shifted who's going to be Big Brother in the future. And Jeff Passan even said this on ESPN. Soto picked the Mets because he saw a better future with the Mets. And so this is just the beginning of what's to come. I'm not saying that we're going to overpay on every single player. This is a unique player. You know what I mean? This is, the Phillies' Bryce Harper from a few years ago, in that caliber that changed the way you look at the Phillies. That's what Juan Soto is doing for the Mets this year. He's changing the way you look at the Mets, and he's 25 years old.
Yeah, not only that, you won't see another player like this again because all these teams that have generational talents are locking up their players young. We saw this with Bobby Witt last year. He signed that massive contract to extend um, his tenure with the Royals up until he's 35 or something like that, right? And so he's not going to hit his prime, and we won't get to see him hit the same stride like we did Juan Soto. So this literally will never happen again. You will never see a contract of this magnitude, and that just makes him even more sweet because the Mets were the ones that were able to get it done. They were able to outbid everybody, and they were able to not only that they were able to show Juan Soto and the rest of the world that you got to believe. You have to believe in this team because with reports coming out there and everyone but the Yankees, everyone believes that the Mets have a bright future. There are even talks of who's going to be the favorite going into next year. And this is not me saying this. We got a lot of work to be done before we can even think about being the favorites of the NL or even the NL East at the minimum. But if people are arguing about the Mets being a powerhouse for the next decade, then that's got to be a good sign for us. And so that feels good. And Severino said that they had two good hitters. Well, guess what? They have one good hitter now, and not even a great postseason hitter. And so, the Yankees are going to have a lot of work to do, and so do the Mets. This was only just the beginning of our offseason. We still have a lot of work to do this offseason. We'll talk about more of that, but um, you know, having Juan Soto in that front of that lineup, we talked about it. We need a guy that hits for average. We don't have a good guy like that, especially since McNeil kind of went silent last year and for the past couple of years. So Juan Soto is going to provide that good stability in the front of our lineup, and he's worth every penny of that $51 million he's going to get for the next 5 years at least.
Yeah, and the thing is, everybody was talking about Cohen's money, right? He's been flexible, by the Scherzer contract and the Verlander contract. He's been flexing for a long time, but the difference is here, those kind of contracts, even though he was throwing money at it, was typical older player buys like we've done in the past, right? They're players that we get them at the end of their careers, right? And that's what we've done for the last 30 years. We've gotten, other than Beltran and Piazza, we've gotten players, and not with Wright and Reyes homegrown, but when we signed players, it was only Wright and I mean not Wright, Piazza and Beltran that we went after. And with Beltran, he wanted to go to the Yankees. He gave them the last word. They just weren't paying. And the last time there was a generational talent like this before Harper, it was Alex Rodriguez, and he did want to come to the Mets, but we had the Wilpons as owners back then, and so this is not, they were unwilling to them the cash, give him the cash. And so this is a complete shift on who is going to, and you're welcome. Emmanuel Mets fan is finally starting to pay off.
Yeah, no, it's paying off. We got a hint of this each and every offseason this past year. We didn't really have that in 2023, but in 2022 it was Justin Verlander. In 2021 it was Max Scherzer, and Steve Cohen has just been working. I love the Steve Gelf's tweet that he had last night, where he um, posted his interview with Steve Cohen and had just that interview that he had with him right after they'd beaten the Phillies to advance to the NLCS, and he wants uh, the the Mets kind of slander to be out of people's mouths, and this is a great step in that right direction. For the Mets to be the team, to make it on top, to be the dominant and the powerhouse, the evil empire, if you will, then that's just a testament to what Steve has built. Because Juan Soto wouldn't have come just for the money. Um, the Yankees offered him just as much, right? So they gave him $5 million less and a year more. And if he wanted to take that and wanted to play for the Yankees with the legacy that they've have with the team that they have over there, or the organizational history that they have, then he would have done that. But he chose the Mets. He believes in the future of the Mets, and he believes that he can win. And this is, and to put it into perspective, I know that we all say, "Oh, this contract's not worth it because it's $765 million, and we can get 5 players for that much. We can get 10 players for that much." But listen, if we win one championship, do you think that's worth it? I think it's worth it. We haven't won a championship for 40 years. How much money have we spent since then? Um, and so just put that into perspective. We've spent billions of dollars in the past to not win one single championship. And now we get an opportunity to win a championship. and this is our best opportunity to do that. And so this is worth every single dime if he wins, if he brings the championship back to Queens.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you keep saying evil empire. I don't think we're going to be spending uh like crazy. I still think Stearns was brought in to um you know make sure that we're not going nuts, right? Stearns was brought in so we spend it wisely, not spend it the way we did under Epler and just throwing money at it. Stearns was brought in here to bring stability and sustaining ball club. And that's one of those things brought in here for was to build this thing. Soto just means that he was just special. He's 26, 25 years old, and that's all that means. Because I still don't believe that we're going to spend that money on like crazy. We're not going to go out there and overspend on Pete. As much as we love Pete, we're not going to spend on Pete, and we're not going to overspend on Bregman or any of those guys because we want to make sure that we have sustainability and we can't lock it in contracts like the John Carlos Stanton contract and stuff like that. So Stearns is in here, and he spoke today that yes, there's money, but it's not going to be spent like crazy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like he's not going to just go out there and spend as much money as he can, just because he has it. Because we saw that backfired in years past. Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander didn't work out for the Mets, and so he knows at this point in his Mets tenure that money does not buy championships, and that is why he brought David Stearns in to kind of implement a new regime where they're spending their money wisely. But I got to push back on there, man. If you had this contract, if you made this contract with Juan Soto, then you are setting up a reputation for yourself where you are the guy in town um, that needs to be beaten. If there's a guy out there, you need to go get him. And that's the reputation that David Stearns or that Steve Cohen has built by just this one contract. I know that he's done this in the past, and it hasn't quite worked out. But now the Mets are a destination that people want to come to, especially seeing how highly they've been talked about in this past couple of days, and seeing what we were able to do last year in the first year of David Stearns. People are going to see that and want to come here. So I don't think it's going to be a situation where we can just kind of brush off to the side and say, if we can't afford this guy, then let's not do it. No, you got to go get those guys. Go get Pete Alonso. Go get Alex Bregman. Be the top bidder in each of those guys, because from here on, like I said, this is just the beginning. Juan Soto is just the beginning. You have to build on from there, and just being passive with your money because is not going to get the job done. Because look, we're not a championship team right now. We're a bat away and two arms away. And no matter how you want to slice it, if you want to bring in Sean Manaea and Corbin Burns, or Sean Manaea and Roki Sasaki, then you have to do something. But you have to be the top bidders in each of those guys for each of those guys. If that's what you think is going to win your championships. If you think Pete Alonso is going to get you a step closer to the championship, you got to be the top guy, no matter how much it costs. That's the reputation I think Steve Cohen has built for himself right now, and that's the reputation that he has to keep for a long time, at least as long as this new wave of Mets is in place.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to push back on you a little bit, just because you don't see the Dodgers doing that. And this is and at the end of the day, we're going to use that example because that's who Cohen used as an example. And we're actually seeing it come to fruition with LA is for years. they were building to the moment that they signed Otani and Yamamoto. They were building to that moment. But before that, they were not overpaying. They didn't even pay after that, right? They didn't pay. They didn't overpay for Teoscar. They didn't. Teoscar took less money to go to the Dodgers, and that's really what Stearns is building here. Is that he's building a program that people are going to want to take less money to come to. And sometimes you're going to have the Severinos where they go to the A's and you wish them luck. It's it's one of those things where it's okay. You know, um, um, that instead of overpaying for everybody. That's I think where we're heading with the Mets.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. We have to be a team that is a destination for these free agents to go to. But you have to build there. The Dodgers have built that reputation for the past 10 years, and they get to say now, come to us because we're going to win you a championship. And that's the reason you're coming, not because of the money. We're still going to pay you, but you're going to come because you're going to win the championship. And that's only happened with these lesser named guys. And not that Teoscar is a lesser named guy, but the big fish in that market was Shohei Otani, and they paid him handsomely. He broke the record before Steve Cohen did with Juan Soto this offseason, but he was able to um, uh, build. They were able to build up to this point where I think when they signed Shohei Otani, that made the destination desirable. And on top of all the winning that they had done in the past, I don't think the Mets are there yet. I think they still need to get to a point where they are sustainable winners, where they're winning their division year in and year out, where they're at least making it to the championship series or division series, not just playing for wild cards. And until you get to that point, you have to go out and buy your guys, or like Jonathan said in the chat, to go out and trade for those guys, no matter what the prospects might hold. We're building up the farm system, and I think that's great that David Stearns is in this system, is running this organization because he's able to do that. He's able to build up the farm, but you're building up the farm so that you can trade them away to get these good pieces like Vladdy or like a Crochet or a guy that's going to win you a championship at the trade deadline. And so, but you have to buy the guys right now because you don't have that capital. We did great in 2022 when we didn't have the guys or the ability to win a championship, and so we traded to get all those prospects. But we still have a long way to go in our farm system to get to a point where we can just trade away guys to build our team out. But until then, go out and sign the top free agents. Be that powerhouse. Be what the Dodgers are right now, where when they sign Blake Snell, everyone's complaining about it, saying this is unfair because why do they get to sign all the best players and not have any repercussions for it? And so we need to get to that point, and it's not like they're being cheap about it. They gave Blake Snell his money. They gave Shohei Otani his money, and so go out, give Corbin Burns his money if that's the guy we want. Uh, get the guys for Garrett Crochet or Vladdy, and make yourself a powerhouse in the National League and in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. And hopefully my internet's better. Hopefully that's better for out there, Jonathan. The name's Franklin though, not Hector, but yeah, hopefully the internet's better. But I apologize for the internet lagging. Don't know what's going on. Trying to fix it on the fly. But yeah, no, I completely understand where everybody's coming from. But it's also you can hamper yourself, right? Because part of the reason why Yankees have had a hard time um, making their team work has been because of the Stanton contract, right? You don't want to pigeon yourself into a problem just because you have that big contract in the books. And so, I agree with you guys. I think if the player's right, you overpay like we did with Soto, like LA did with Otani. Because guess what? Nobody else was giving him 700 million. They paid Otani 700 million because they wanted to, because that's what Otani wanted. Because nobody else was competing honestly with them. Because they Otani even went back to the Angels to see if they would match it, and they didn't. These are situations that come once in a lifetime, and but those other players you got to be smart with. And I think we are just like Jonathan said, we're in the Sasaki race, because now New York is a destination, right? And LA, if for him to, he has to go to a place where um, he can make some money off the field, right, with sponsors and ads and stuff like that. And between Otani and Yamamoto, LA's capped. You know, uh, I don't think he's going to LA because he's going to want to make some money off the field, and that puts us in the running now that we have Soto, of a destination for a guy like Sasaki. Um, I'm actually warming up to the idea. Let's transition a little bit. I'm warming up to the idea of trading for Crochet, because now we got Soto. Because what are we going to do with Gilbert, right? What are we going to do with a guy like Gilbert? Is there a package that we can get to get Crochet in here instead of a Burns, right? Instead of paying Burns until he's 38, why not trade for a guy like Crochet, and get that younger um, version of an ace, because he's also 25 years old.
Yeah, no, I've been saying it from the beginning. Crochet is a guy that you trade the farm for, because he's a guy that you can trust in the postseason. Well, he hasn't been proven, but that is coming off of a stellar year and is just 25 years old. This is the same situation where with Juan Soto, just in the trade market. So you have to go and get your guy, because if this is the season that you think you're going to win, who cares about the farm system? Parades over prospects, right? And so go get yourself Garrett Crochet, trade Jet Williams. The only one, my only untouchable in that trade is a Brandon Sproat because he's going to impact the club next year or even sooner than that. But Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert, where are they going to play? They're clogged up. Ronnie Mauricio. They have Brett Beatty as a prospective hitter in the Mets lineup next year. All those guys are open for trades. Even a Jeff McNeil. All these guys got to be on the trade block to go get a Garrett Crochet. I've already expressed my interest in Burns. I'm not a huge Burns guy, but Sasaki is definitely a guy that I want to see on the Mets next year. And like you said, I don't think he's going to be on in a Dodger uniform, at least not um, in the near future, because there's no place for him to play in the near future. They've got their pitching lined up for the next 5 years, and for him to come up, it'd have to take a lot of injuries or a stellar rise through the system. And a lot of people have the impression that he's already major league ready. So if he's going to the Mets or Cubs or San Diego, that he's starting in their starting rotation. And like you said, you have to go to a place where you can be marketable. So San Diego, as much as they have history with Japanese-born players, um, they're always going to be right now. As for the moment, right now they're Dodgers' little brother, and they will be until proven otherwise. And so coming to New York, going to the Cubs, that gives you an opportunity to get out of the shadow of Otani and Yamamoto and build a reputation for yourself because you want to go to a big city and a team that already has Japanese-born players so that you can be marketable in Japan as well, and that teams are or that people in Japan are going to watch your team and root for you, because you're not just a Dodger, or there's more players to root for. And so, uh, so Sasaki is who I want to see, and Pete Alonso. Sasaki, Pete Alonso, Shamanaya. That's my complete off season, and I think we're set right there, right then and there. And I don't care how much it takes to get them. Steve Cohen has got unlimited amount of money. He's worth more than entire countries, and so he has the ability to go do it. So Manaya, Sasaki, Pete, bring them back, bring those two back, and bring Sasaki in to get a taste of winning. And I think we're off for a hell of a year if we can get those deals done.
Yeah, no, big shout out to Victor Park in the shot, in the chat. Yeah, I'm having these internet issues today. Need that Steve Cohen money to help me out on this end, but but don't know what's going on with my internet today. But we'll figure it out eventually. And yeah, I don't know about. I still don't want to give up Jet Williams for a Crochet, man. I don't know if that's the move. That's it's kind of you know that's our either center fielder or second baseman of the future. I'll give up Acuna.
I, See, I would give up Acuna too, but right now he's a Jeff McNeil replacement in the future, and his he's a lot more valuable than a lot of people are letting off to be, or letting off. Jet Williams, although he's very valuable and a very Soto type hitter, where he gets on base a lot. Um, he wants to play shortstop, and right now we don't have a shortstop position available for him, and so we're doing him a favor, and we're bringing in a much needed piece that we would have for the next 5 years, because he wants that extension. I think he would get it, and I think it's a fair return. Listen, I love Jet Williams. I think he's a great prospect, but he's not going to impact us in this next year. Garrett Crochet will, and that's why I think that he's available in the trade.
No, no. Well, okay. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one because I don't know if I want to give up Jet. Jet's the only position player that I feel like is untouchable, and like you said earlier, Brandon Sproat on the pitching side is the only other untouchable. I could see a package given up for Crochet, and who knows? Nah, I, I I won't say Luis Robert in the deal, but at least Garrett Crochet in that deal because with Soto, one thing that we do need to take into consideration, we might not have a stellar offensive bat in center field anymore for a while, right? Because we need to have some defense in there to make up for Soto's defense, right? It's not that he's a terrible defensive player; he's just not a good defensive player. He's passable out there, and so we're gonna need somebody to play um, the field well, and hopefully that's what happens. And at the end of the day, Luis Robert can't stay healthy, so he's a guy that you got to fear with that as well. So I would love Luis Robert. We were talking about him last year, so if he comes in the deal, I'll be happy. But I'm really open to a Garrett Crochet deal as long as the price is right for the Mets.
Yeah. So two things. One, let's get Luis Robert. And he's primed to be packaged in that deal. I think that it'd be perfect to kind of bring him over with a Garrett Crochet because it fills two needs. We need a starting pitcher and we need a serviceable center fielder. And people might forget that he was a Gold Glover in 2021, and so he's got the accolades and he's got the defense to be one of the best in the league. And not only that, he hit 20 or 40 home runs in that 2022 season. And so I think he's serviceable to be in center field and back up Juan Soto wherever he plays. And he's going to be a great bat in the league. The only way that you get by that is by giving him a little less time. And so that's where you kind of bring in another kind of serviceable center fielder. So you keep Jose Siri or Tyrone Taylor so that he's not getting playing time regularly, and you can keep him off his feet and keep him in the lineup by keeping that DH open. And it'd be a rotating DH kind of thing. But you keep a defensive center fielder on your team, but having Luis Robert, I think, is a defensive center fielder and an offensive center fielder, one of the best players in the league when healthy. And the key is keeping him healthy. And the Mets have been proven to do that. And so I think if we get him, then that would be a perfect fit for us, along with Garrett Crochet. But I want to pivot here and kind of talk about Juan Soto being a left fielder instead of right fielder. We know that Brandon Nimmo's just got moved to left field last year. He doesn't have a great arm, which is why he's out in left field. But we get less action over in I think in City Field, it's better for Juan Soto to play left field rather than right field, just for the dimensions of the park and for how it might just work out for him a little better defensively. He's not the greatest center right fielder or outfielder at that, and so just finding ways to kind of make his job a little easier and still making him a player that we can use and not just a bat, I think is key to kind of making this contract a little or stretching it out to where it's a little more worth it. Not that it's not worth it, but what do you think about that? Him playing in left field.
Well, if we were in a perfect world, yes, he'd be in left field. But Nimmo's arm does not play anywhere else but left field. At least Soto's got an arm that's good enough to play in right field. But for Nimmo, he doesn't have the arm to play anywhere else. He can't play center anymore. And we need a defensive center fielder that can chase the ball down. And so, unfortunately, and I don't see anybody taking on a Nimmo contract. I think I love Nimmo, so it's not like I'm looking to trade Nimmo, but unfortunately, he's got that position locked down because he doesn't have the arm to play anywhere else. Unfortunately, well, he doesn't have the arm to play right field, and he can no longer play center field. So we're stuck with Nimmo in left field. But ultimately, in a perfect world, yes, Soto would be the left fielder. But unfortunately, we're not in that perfect world, so we can't move him. Big shout out to Mikey B in the chat. Talking about Bregman to the Mets and passing on Alonso, moving Vientos to first base. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, just because I think because Stearns spoke today, and Stearns was talking about how comfortable they are with Vientos at third. That could be just a ploy, who knows? But I do think, and I've mentioned this before in a previous pod, I do think that they're going to give Vientos a shot because he proved that he can play third base, and he proved that he can be an offensive weapon at third base. That I think they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and not move him around because they want to make sure they don't mess with that bat. So I think they're going to give him, based on what Stern said today, I think they're going to give him a shot at third base and for him to stay at third base. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. He has the arm for it, and I think he's serviceable there. He's not the best. Obviously, he has made some errors there, but he's working with Francisco Lindor in this offseason, and they're going to build some chemistry. not only chemistry, but he's going to improve. He's only 26 years old. I think he is just learning the position. He just learned the position a couple of years ago. Well, he grew up. Did he grow up playing third base? I think he did actually. So, uh, Pat, don't listen to me there. He's been playing the position, but he's gotten better after working with Francisco Lindor this past offseason. And I think he will continue to get better. And so um, I would love to see him stay there. And man, I feel like people just have forgotten how good Pete Alonso is. Pete Alonso was the best power hitter in baseball behind Aaron Judge up until since the 2019 season. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani has had his name in the hat for a while, and when he's only hitting, then yes, he's probably better than Pete Alonso. But to be the third best power hitter in baseball over Alex Bregman, I know his defense is good. I know he can play great defense, but right now I'm worried about filling up that lineup and having some protection um, uh, for Juan Soto. And I think Pete Alonso would provide some great protection. In a down year, guys, in a down year, he had 30 home runs. We know that he has 40 home run power, 50 home run, almost 60 home run at that. And I think he has a career year next year because he's not worried about a contract again. And so I'd love to see Pete Alonso back. He wants to be a Met, and I think that's why they get it done. Because not only does Stearns have the money, but now he has the reputation, and Pete Alonso knows this organization and wants to be a Met. And so I think they get a deal done with Pete, and I think it's going to be worth every penny. I think he's going to break the home run record next year, and continue to build off of that. Um, Pete's defense has only gotten better, so I don't want to hear all this talk about how he's not a plus defender at first base because he has one of the best pick rates as at first base, and his bat I think can bounce back. 2022 was a year that everyone was slumping, and 2023 is his contract year. Now we know Pete can't hit in a contract year. Um, so I think he bounces back. Want to see Pete Alonso back over Bregman. That's my guy, man. Bring Pete back.
And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't want Pete back. I don't want this conversation to say that I don't want Pete back. But I also am not the guy that wants to give Pete more than 6 years. If there's a team that wants to give him more than 6 years, I mean, I'm almost at the point where even 5 years is the limit for Pete for me. But that's where I'm at because I love Pete. I agree with you. I think he had a bad year because of the contract. Um, you know, having Juan Soto on the team will probably relieve a little bit of the stress from him. So I do think that we'll see Pete back to form. But at the end of the day, the question is for how long, right? He is in his 30s. And so that's the real question for me. With Bregman, I like Bregman, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't like him more than Pete because it benefited righties. So how much of his home runs came from him being at that field? There in Houston.
Yeah,
Obviously he's a stellar defensive player. But if the Mets get Pete, I think at the end of the day they'll shift to one of the lesser first basemen like a Walker and things like that.
yeah. No, I think that'd be a mistake, man. I'm willing to give Pete 8 years. I'll, 8 years, 172 million. That breaks the record for the best contract of a first baseman. It beats the 170 70 mark that Freddie Freeman got, right? And that's what he wants to do. And I think he can do it with some deferred money, especially because he's already built a reputation in New York. We know how much it benefits from being with in the same New York club for your whole career, and the brand that he'll build from that, I think, will pay his salary until he gets that deferred money. But you know, Juan Soto and Pete Alonso were the two best free agents in this free agent class. And if you get those top two guys, then you're sitting pretty. And this is an expensive market right now. So this might the market is probably already reset for first basemen and hitters in general because of the contract that Juan Soto just got and that Willie Adames even got and others. So I think that him getting 8 years, 172 million might not be so crazy, even if he gets less than that. If he gets 6 years, 172, Steve Cohen has the money to do it, and I just want to see him be able to get that done. Because listen, pitching is going to be expensive. Hitting is going to be expensive. We've said that we're a win now team by making these moves in the off season, and so we got to go make sure that we have the players to win now.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. But I don't want a John Carlos Stanton contract in the books. So that's where I'm going to leave that one at. We're going to have two different opinions. You want to give the bank to Pete. I just want to be a little bit smarter than that. Let us know what you guys think. Give us in the comments. You give up the bank for Pete and let it maybe not age well, or be a little bit smarter and find power in other ways throughout the team. But let us know what you think. G in the chat wants Pete back as well. Comparing our team to the Astros of the past. Again, I want Pete back, but not at all costs. Han Soto at all costs. I'm not care. I didn't care how much they were. They could have given them 800 straight up right now, and I would have been fine. You know what I mean? But for Pete, I'm not giving up the bank for Pete. I want him back, but I want him back at the right number. But everybody, let us know what you think, and let us know how you're feeling about it. What other bats do you think we should go after? Uh, you know, um, what pitchers should we go after? Let us know what you're thinking. We kind of talked about Crochet, Sasaki, Burns, um, Luis Castillo. We had talked about in the previous pod about maybe trading for Luis Castillo. They put out there that they're willing to trade him, and I wouldn't mind seeing Luis Castillo with the Mets. All right. Do you want Sean Manaea back with the Mets? Obviously we're not going to get everybody. So, which guys do you want to see with the Mets? For me, I'm leaning towards the Victor choice of Garrett Crochet. Now that we got Soto, it's kind of changed my mind. I'm ready to give up the prospects. And so I'm ready to give them up. Let's get that parade going.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We've been going on a while, so I'll just give my final thoughts on the Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes trades. We need more. Like you said, well, we shouldn't be done here. We got to go get Garrett Crochet. We got to go get Sean Manaea. We got to get these guys that will be sustainable, that will win us a championship this year. And Frankie Montas is great. I think he's gonna do wonders on this Mets team. I think he's got his stuff. He's got the stuff to be a mid rotation starter. And Clay Holmes, we'll see. We'll see what we got. But at the end of the day, it's a good deal for both those guys because we saw how expensive pitching was. But we have to be in that expensive market. I talked about it earlier. We made a reputation for ourselves of being the big spenders. So go out and big spend for the top of the rotation guy. A 1 and 2. We need a 1 and 2 right now. And we could say Senga is a 2. We could say Peterson is a 2. But if we want to be true powerhouses, like the Dodgers, then we need multiple 1s and 2s. And so go get those guys, because Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes, those are bottom of the rotation guys that we're talking about. And we've seen those work out for us in the past. Shamanai and Luis Severino were once bottom of the rotation guys, and they proved to be better. So let's hope that they're better than bottom of the rotation guys, but let's not rely on them to be better than what they are. And so, yeah, man, a lot of work to be done. And the board meetings just got wrapped up on day one today, so we'll get to see if there are any more moves later in the week, and we'll be here to talk about it too. And I'm excited for what else the Mets have in store.
Yeah, no, and Frankie's a guy that during his press conference, um, he picked the Mets after speaking to Mania, you know, and so I know that we're down on Montas because he was hurt with the Yankees, and you know, um, you know, he didn't pitch well or okay with the Reds, but he started picking it up when he went over to Milwaukee, and so we could see a resurgence. And he's a guy that eats innings, and we could see another resurgence from another Severino type pitcher when it comes to Montas. That's my comparison with Montas, is that he's more of a Severino replacement, a guy that we can count on, give us some innings, and maybe give us more than what we expect. So that's my hope on Montas. As far as Holmes, I don't know. Worst case scenario, he goes back to the bullpen, right? We know that he's a proven reliever. So there is no lose in this pickup. We signed him, and there's no lose in signing Holmes. It became official today, and if he pans out as a starter, we get great value as a starter. But worst case scenario, he's our eighth inning guy, coming to set up Diaz in the game, right? And that's what they're going for. Trident went back to the Dodgers, and this is the same contract, 2 year, 22 million he got from the Dodgers. So very similar contract, $10 million a year or so. And if it works out, we got a good starting pitcher. If it doesn't, we got a really good reliever. And that's my thoughts on Clay Holmes. There is no way we lose on that pickup.
Yeah, no, I mean, um, it's just expensive, but like we said in the past, it makes it worth it because at the end of the day, it's not our money. Steve Cohen is the one writing these checks, and he's going to do what he needs to do to win championships. And guess what? At the end of the day, when it comes to the postseason, Clay Holmes will be in the bullpen. He's odds are he's not going to start. We're going to build up our team to the point where he's not going to have the opportunity to start. And so, if he is that setup guy in the postseason, then we just got ourselves a great setup man. And he's expensive, yes, but he's a sure thing. Well, no one's a sure thing, but he's as close to it as we can get, because he's one of the best pitchers in this market. And just wanted to shout out Alec in the chat. Thanks for showing some love, man. G asked, is Sean really as good as he portrayed himself last year? And that is the gamble that you take with him. I don't know if he's going to have the same season. He had a career year last year, but with what he was able to do by changing his arm angle and what the Mets were able to do with him last year, I do think we can get not maybe not the best Sean Mania or what we saw last year, but if we get something like a close to it, three starter. Last year he was an ace. This year he might not be as much, and so that's going to be. Um, I think he will, but we'll see. I got to get going. I'm going to cut my podcast short. I know Franklin's going to keep talking, but hey, I got crying babies, and I can't leave my wife hanging here. So excited to talk to you guys next week, and you know, until we talk next week about Pete Alonso and Sean Manaea signing, let's go Mets. So I'll catch you guys.
All right, get out of here. I'll finish it up, guys. He's got to go take care of the grandkids, and all good. But yeah, guys, I want to not take it too much longer. Hopefully, I was hoping that maybe the Pete. Um, the Pete news or something else would break while we were on this video today, but it's been a quiet Monday, somewhat quiet Monday at the winter meetings, and so most likely things are gonna be broken up in the middle of the night like they usually are, and so we'll hear about it tomorrow. But let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you want the Mets to do. Do you want to and let us know on replay. Let us know what you're thinking. Do you want the Mets to give Alonso the bag and not overpay? Again, Juan Soto, different animal, overpay, and I'm cool with it. But again, I don't want to get stuck with a John Stanton contract, and that's what I fear. If we overpay for Pete Alonso, that's what we would get. As far as the pitching, that's the question, and the question is also with Sean with Manaea is, does somebody want to give him more than 3 years? Because I think that's where the Mets are at. They're at 3 years, and does somebody want to give him or 4 years at the max? And does somebody want to give him 5 or 6 years? I think that puts the Mets out if he's looking for a 5 to 6 year contract. And so it's one of those things that it's again, we don't want to be stuck with bad contracts. What happened with Verlander and what happened with Scherzer doesn't happen all the time. You're not going to be able to get rid of these contracts like we did with those guys. So we can't bet on money just fixing all. So we do have to be a little bit smarter on these things and give out the right contracts. Not that you're going to win on all of them, but we want to be smarter on this. So on replay, let us know what you're thinking. Who you want as a pitcher. And let us know what you think, how that would work, and do you want to overpay on some of this pitching? I do not personally, but we're gonna see what the Mets do. I think Stearns built his reputation on finding the right pitchers. So I don't think he was brought in here just to spend money. We could have just had anybody do that. I think Stearns was brought in here to build a sustainable ball club, and that's what he came here to do. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. If we break something overnight, who knows? Maybe we'll be back on. But if not, we'll see you next week. But hopefully we'll continue to see some movement in the winter meetings, and maybe see us pop on and if it's like a Garrett Crochet kind of trade or something like that, something huge like that. So let's see what happens. But until before I get out of here, subscribe to the channel, get us over the hump, over the 50 mark. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and again, let us know what you're thinking. But until next week, let's go Mets.